All right, so let's go in the last segment, and then we'll kick off with questions. The power of streamers, the power of money, the relationship between streamers and their donors and their subs. I was talking with Rifkin earlier today, and we were just discussing, the issues with a lot of people complaining about, the moderators in his channel and all that. And then we kind of got to the topic of where a lot of people will demand things. They'll say, I sub to you, I demand this, or I donate to you, I demand you do this. Different things like that. So, Rifkin, since you have far more experience with this than I do.
Well, I was gonna ask first off before we go into it. Are we still? Am I still Destiny on the overlay, or is that?
Oh yeah, you are. Let me change that.
Why is that like an inherently bad thing, or what?
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to be fucking branded Destiny. Jesus Christ. I like to put on tournaments when I say I will.
Oh, wow.
Whoa!
I'm sorry.
Man, Steven woke up for this, huh?
But no, the thing Lycan's kind of getting into, guys, is like you've got one side of things where people like really support you, and that's really cool. But the other side where you've got these people who feel like they've got power over you because they support you, and I get that. Like, if you don't want to subscribe to somebody, don't subscribe to somebody. If you don't want to donate, don't donate. But by going that extra step to be like, you didn't do this, so I'm no longer subbing or donating ever again. Like, I think anyone who has half a brain doesn't really listen to that, but there's a lot of folks who are kind of the smaller streamers maybe, or they depend more on each subscriber, so they start thinking like, oh, well, I better listen to this person, or I better do this or that because like I need that subscriber. And I don't think that's a really fair way to have to respond to your supporters. Like, they shouldn't. Money should be like a good way to support the person because you want to see more content. And if you want to make a point of like not subscribing to them because a lot of people are doing it because like the content's gone to shit, that's fine. But to try and lord that over somebody's head, that's like, I don't know, that's like super entitlement level stuff that I don't think is necessary or cool.
Steven,
it's just, they kind of out themselves when they do that. Like, you should vote with your wallet. If you don't like content, if you don't like something someone did, and you're unsubscribing or you're doing what you can to vote with your wallet, yeah, that's how the system works. That's how it should work. Absolutely. And then if you're like, hey, I want to send them a message to be like, you did this thing, and now I'm not going to support you anymore, that too is completely good and responsible. Like, absolutely. Message them and be like, hey, the other day you made a video about how you really don't like Pokemon. I love Pokemon. My bed's made up of Pokemon. Like, I don't support you anymore, and I need you to know that. That's actually good. That's good consumerism response. But the reason why this subject is funny and interesting to me, because it absolutely happens, because we all know that doesn't get the response people want. Like when, like if Russell Wilson got, like fucking, I hate the Seahawks and went to the 49ers, like, finally I'm home. All those Seahawks fans are shitty. I wouldn't just, like a lot of people wouldn't be like, dear Russell Wilson, I will, I returned your jersey and I do not support you anymore, and I just want you to know that I don't like the way you handled this. Most of the people are going to hop on Facebook and be like, listen, you goddamn son of a bitch, here's a picture of me pissing and shitting and vomiting on your, like, they're going to go as ham as they can because they want that response, and they want to evoke emotion from you. So that's why that happens. But it's just funny when people do that, right? Like when they send you that message, they're like, hey, you actually think the app's not broken? Unsubscribe, motherfucker. I'm never watching your stream again. If you actually care what that person thinks the second they say that, then you have to look in the mirror again and kind of evaluate how many people you allow to have a piece of you. Like, if that person you give a shit about, good luck on the internet. It's tough.
Before that, when you were talking about the jersey, is that a Seattle accent?
The thing is, in Seattle, we're actually known as it's the most non-committed accent in like all of America, I guess. The Northwest has the most generic,
just
English,
American-sounding person.
So yeah, it could be whatever you want. Like, there's no, like, someone say an Oregon accent right now. What is an Oregon accent?
Steven, aren't you near that? I don't know what
What's
Oregon.
A Washington accent? There is
no idea. Yeah. It's a good
but
one.
if you did East Coast, if you did South, we know South, Minnesota, Wisconsin, even California, there's the shia, bro. Like, you can do something for it. For Seattle, if you ask someone to do a Seattle accent or impression, they just start talking about coffee or rain or like punk rock or being a hipster. They'll be like, that's how you do it. But there's no accent, interestingly enough.
Huh. Well, today I learned. Thank you. Steven, so as you came up as a streamer, that's where the majority of your career has been centered. Have you ever had that kind of a weird relationship with your viewers, your subscribers? Have you ever felt the need to succumb, like they're saying X, Y, and Z, and even sometimes where you felt it was unreasonable, you just didn't, you're like, well, fuck, if that's what's going to get people to unsubscribe to me, maybe I'll change. I mean, asking you that feels kind of weird since you've given that don't give a fuck attitude for a while. But has there ever been that point where you had a negative interaction with your subscribers and donators?
Not really, no. I think that there's like a lesson that you actually can pull into streaming from like the customer service world here, as odd as that sounds. If you work at like a restaurant and you have like mid-range food, like if somebody comes in and like a meal costs like $15-20, you're not serving like the best food ever, obviously, right? Like you wouldn't advertise yourself as these are the best steaks or the best meals that you'll ever get in your entire life, right? Instead, you want to hammer home that it's like good value, right? Like you can get a good meal for $15 and it'll taste good and it's a good value on a budget, right? That like one of the things that's called in like customer service is managing customer expectations, right? So it's impossible, or well, not impossible, but you're much less likely to disappoint a
Nothing's
customer.
impossible.
Yeah,
sorry.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
You're much less likely to disappoint a customer if you manage their expectations accordingly. If the customer knows what to expect going in and you deliver on that expectation instead of overpromising, you're much more likely to have a positive experience with that customer when they walk away from that situation. And I treat subscribers the same way. A lot of people, when they're like growing and they're getting those first few subscribers, they'll do whatever the fuck they can to make those subscribers happy, right? So what is the expectation? What is the culture that you're cultivating, right? That the subscriber is king, that you'll do whatever you can for your subs. And obviously, and we all know this as public people, the more widespread your popularity gets or whatever, the more impossible it is to please everybody. You cannot possibly do it, right? You'll always step on somebody's toes. In terms of like how I personally do my shit, and obviously not everybody can run it the same way, like most of my subs know exactly what they're getting. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, even my sub messages themselves say, like, you get, like, a hug or whatever. Like, I never promise subscriber games. I ban subs if I'm fucking mad. Like, I never promise anything to my subs. So if I do something, like sub games or sub debates or whatever dumb shit I do, like, it's just kind of like a bonus. Whereas there is no expectation there. I think that managing the expectation is really important, and that when you kind of mess that up, then you'll see that reflected in like super over demanding subs. Like if you were to walk into certain people's chats and subs were to start demanding shit and the streamer didn't deliver on it, like people would probably start to get pretty upset. Like there's there's a guy whose videos keep getting posted to like cringe and live stream fails, who like rages at his subs so fucking hard and he starts banning him. He plays like, I think Boshi or whatever. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? This is like corrupt. I don't know what the fuck his name. But some streamer like that, and he like rage bans his subs, and everybody's like, "Holy shit, this guy's crazy," right? But I rage ban my subs all the fucking time, and nobody's surprised by it. Like, oh well, fucking that dude just got fucking racked and quacked, and that's it. I think that I think that it's important to set out like a consistent, and consistency is so important too, because anytime you're not consistent, you'll be fucking crucified on the internet, right? Like back 5 years, however long you've been on the internet, if you're ever not consistent with something, you'll get fucked on it. So I think if you like treat your subscribers consistently the same all the time, I don't think you'll find that entitlement cropping up as much. Unless you've rewarded the entitlement in the past by like, succumbing to people, then it shouldn't happen, I think, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys have like a different experience.
No, I agree. I think it's a very well way to put it. Like, I actually especially like the analysis that kind of, it's amazing too. When you like are first into streaming and you set this like super high bar of like every person like, I'll actually tell a personal story.
Yeah.
Way back from the beginning, I've done this, I don't know. It hasn't been since the absolute beginning, but I did this thing where I pretend to, alright, don't pretend, excuse me. I actually read the futures of everyone who subscribes on my stream. And at first it was like, cool, it still is, guys. Don't hate me, but like, there's a lot of people. There's been a couple guys who are like, "Hey, you didn't read my future." I'm like, all right, man, I'll get around to it. They're like, "You didn't read my future." I'm like, all right, sorry. And then I can feel myself copping out like, your future is you're gonna eat a great bagel, and they're like, that's not. The other guy saved the planet from aliens. What the fuck is this? Like, and so it starts to become a thing where it's obviously this is on the low end of the spectrum. Like, it's totally fine for me to come up with random things that people will do. And it's fun, and they remember it, and it's a good time. But it is funny how managing expectations, Destiny talked about, like that takes on a whole new beast when you're projecting it out to thousands of people over large spans of time as things grow and get big. So it became a little bit of an advice thing, I guess, for streams that are growing and stuff like that. But it's like, and then it's funny because conversely you say I should manage my streams super low and like not give a fuck, and then your stream probably won't grow unless you've got a super unique personality like Destiny or something like that.
Well, I mean, or it's just like whatever you do, make sure like you have to look into the future. Make sure that whatever you do, you're ready to fucking stick with it for a long fucking time. Because as soon as you like drop off on it, like people are gonna get hella fucking mad.
I mean, two things for me. Like, first off, I'll take it to the next step with sponsors for a second too. Like, not even subscribers, but you got like that one entity giving you a lot of money. If you guys aren't willing to, like, you have to always, I think, draw a line somewhere. You can't let people totally just control you with money unless that's the agreement you worked out. Because at some point, you know, at the end of the day, your stream, your personality, that's got to be you. And if you cop out too much, or if you like start giving too much control away, all of a sudden you're kind of left with this thing you're gonna hate. And I think that's kind of going with some of the feedback we got, where like people are like, well, we unsubscribe because your moderators are Nazis. It's like, well, moderators keep more people in check than I think people realize, and a lot of the bad stuff doesn't really get praised because they'll see one or two mistakes happen from time to time. So it's like, if we have to lose a sub over it, I'd still pick our moderators over that sub every single time. But if we start realizing that there's like 100 subs dropping off, you're like, okay, this might be a problem, and then our sponsors might notice that there's less people in chat, and like all of this starts accumulating very quickly, and it can get overwhelming. And that's something I've had to deal with a couple of times. And the other thing too, speaking of expectations, the hardest thing I had to do was cut out reading the subscribers at the end of every stream. It got to a point where like we would do sub shoutouts at the end of every stream and just go over every subscriber. And when that list started taking 20 minutes to read out, we're like, we can't do this anymore. It's just, and we lost some subs over it too, which was kind of sad.
Yeah, that's probably like the most painful thing, is that if you do that thing where you hit that plateau where you're like, okay, well, fuck, like shit that I did to get to this level I can no longer do. When you make that transition, you are going to drop subs too, and that can be like a really nerve-wracking experience where it's like, oh fuck, like I'm starting to lose subs now, like do I need to, like, and then you're caught in like a really weird spot, you know?
Yeah,
it did. I'll tell you this though, like as much as that sucked, and it like we took like a dip of like 50 subs when we stopped doing sub shoutouts, and that kind of hurt. But it also gave me like some motivation to like do other things that weren't so as dedicated, but would like keep the stream high quality. So I mean, there's like good and the bad with all of this. It just, I guess, depends how you personally or a person personally takes the situation. I think though, like from my point of this though, is like for everybody, like you want to make money, but don't let people control you. I think is what it really is at the end of the day. Otherwise, you're not gonna have a good time, and you're gonna hate what you're doing.
Or if they control you, like, it just has to be for the right dollar amount. Like, there's a lot of shit that I really wouldn't want to do on stream, but if somebody paid me like $500,000 to do it,
yeah,
like,
fair enough.
Be real for a moment, like,
lick your dog's butthole, man.
you guys
How many times has Nathaniel said he won't wear a Pikachu suit and then ends up wearing a Pikachu suit?
because he gets $1,000 to do it. I would wear a lot of things.
You would wear a lot of things for nothing.
You wore
buddy.
something
you
for
already
free,
did.
yeah.
Exactly.
I
Thank you.
made money off that. I made like $50 that night. It was I didn't actually have to sell my body physically, you know, but I still sold
Might
it.
as well.
Yeah. I really like the discussion you guys are having on this, and I've learned a valuable lesson. I try to learn lessons. You know, experienced community professionals in Control, Destiny, Rifkin, all established caster, player streamer, broadcaster. Really, really awesome. And I have learned today that I should just let everyone know the stream will always be fucked up. There will always be technical issues. I am always going to say something super fucking
not
streamy.
lower expectations.
Also,
like
always going to say something super cringeworthy. It's going to happen, and then everyone comes here. It's like, that's just Lycan being Lycan. That's what I came here for, right?
And then you surprise
so,
them, like Steven said, with an improvement where you don't stumble across. You know?
Detroit has managed its expectations. Like, you know what you're getting when you go to some of the port, but that doesn't make it a good thing, right? So,
Oh man, for Red Bull Detroit was exactly what I had ever heard about Detroit. I've never actually driven through a city and been scared before, ever. That includes Baltimore. Detroit, I was kind of scared. You guys all been to Detroit?
I've been to Detroit.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures.
Anyway, so anyone have final thoughts on that before we go to questions? Just, I guess, the relationship between you and your streamers. Actually, let's ask that. Jeff, do you feel you have a good relationship between you and your subs? Like, do you talk to them a lot? Do you feel that you get good feedback from them?
I unabashedly give them preferential treatment. I say that pretty clearly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually I've been in his stream before. He's like, someone's like, hey, will you play this? And he's like, maybe if you subscribe. And then, I mean, he's pretty straightforward about it.
I subscribed in Control, and the next day I logged in, and I was like, Masters League. I found like $20 on the sidewalk. My dick was longer. It was crazy, guys. Like,
magic works in mysterious ways. That's what I'm saying.
Destiny, what about you? I imagine that you have one of the most unique fan bases. You attract a lot of different types of people in your fan base. So, what is your relationship with your subs like?
I don't know. We just kind of, I'm pretty personable with them. Like, we're all just kind of bros. I come into chat. Sometimes I make fun of them. Sometimes I rage at them. But I mean, we talk a lot. I don't know what.
I guess, I mean,
I have a very unique relationship.
Do you get good feedback? Are your subs the people that like are constantly just giving you shit? I mean,
it depends on that particular sub. I guess it's possible. I don't know. There's like, I've got a lot of personalities in my chat. I think for the most part, I think we all get along, and usually, I think feedback is something that you have to value. If you hear a lot of different things, or if you hear a lot of the same thing from a lot of different people, you can't really ignore it. Like, at some point, you have to accept that there's some feedback that you need to listen to. I don't know. I think for the most part, I like my subs, and we have like an okay relationship. I don't know. It goes back and forth sometimes.
It's like you're being asked about your in-laws. You're like, all right.
And Graham, I know a lot about your subs. I've watched you with you guys interact a lot. But if you think there's any unique aspect that I might not be aware of,
I think the unique aspect is, unlike everybody else, we have to do all our sub interaction on a 2 to 3 minute delay, which I don't think a lot of people have to deal with, and that is actually really fucking hard to do. And I'm not saying like, oh my god, so we deserve more because we work harder, and no bullshit like that, but it is just straight up difficult being like a tournament stream where you're like trying to do sub interaction and you do like a sub shout out like 3 minutes after they subbed and they're like, where's my shout out? I don't know what's happening. But like I say that I would say we've got a really good interaction with or connection with our subs, because I mean, fuck, it was mostly the subs who donated to like Kickstarter and shit that let us throw a tournament. So
yeah, there you go.
I hope we're doing a good job at least.
All right, let me change the title. We're going to kick off questions, and we're going to be done before 2 hours.
Damn.
Unless these questions just really, spark up some super awesome debate.
Probably not, though.
You got Lupa filtering them now, right? No
Yep.
Bullshit, like and reading out the stupid ass.
Nope. Nope, none of that. Lupa is #1 friend and fan. Getting this shit done. All right, so this one's directed to Rifkin. Would love to know more about what you felt went, more important, what went right, more importantly, what didn't go right. I think we talked about that already, so that was already discussed, unless you have another thought. But
I mean, what really went right was the casting. I felt doing stuff in real life was really fucking cool. I had a fucking blast casting with Zombie Grub and such in person. What went wrong was just stuff at the venue. I mean, you guys, if you go watch our recap video we posted, I'll go more specifics in that video. But like TLDR, we just had venue problems. That was the worst of the worst.
All right. Hey, Maximus Black's in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Hey, all right. So while you're, never mind. Hold on. Anyway, so MSI Gaming Arena questions. Do you guys think that it's acceptable for a tournament to deliberately not stream a lot of the round of 16 groups? A lot of people were disappointed by the lack of coverage and communication from the organizers. Jeff.
Yeah, I think anything is well, no. I think that would be acceptable if there was expectations set up to kind of go to just lamely fall back on what Destiny said earlier. But like, if it's just said, hey, yeah, we're gonna have players on site, but unfortunately it's not realistic for us to stream it, and like that's communicated, and it's like, but we're really excited for our main show, and it's gonna be amazing, and we're providing a live experience. Like, if you spin it positively and you put it out there and people aren't like, where's the stream, and they're asking about and expecting, which is always going to happen to a certain extent on the internet. So in their defense, maybe that did happen. I'm not like an MSI sleuth or something like that and look super hard into it.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would be bad. For just general tournament wisdom, more games are always better than to not. So I'm not sure why they weren't able to show the games, but they probably should have. And for the amount of money they put up, for the amount of players they flew in, by the way, like for how big of an event this actually was, the amount of time they spent on screen showing this off was very limited and very poor So that means their in return on investment is going to, generally speaking, be worse. So in that sense, I don't know how this could have been a success.
Okay. Destiny, this question's for you.
Yeah.
Do you regret studying music in college? Do you think it developed you as a person, more so than if you had picked a more practical major?
No, I like music. There's a reason I went into it.
Did you finish your degree? This is
No,
no
I
longer
didn't.
that question.
I couldn't. No, I was working way too much.
When you, if you've talked before saying this might not be what you do for the rest of your life, have you thought that you're going to go back to music, or have you thought maybe like a business route? You've shown yourself to be pretty savvy in that regard.
I really don't know. It's like hard to say. I would hope that I could find like work in this arena for like the foreseeable future. Like
Okay.
whether it's casting stuff or YouTube stuff or talk show stuff or whatever. Like I would hope that I could find and make this work for as long as possible.
Sounds good. Let's see. Should future map pools be extremely diverse? For example, have one map with a really short map distance, 3-player maps, 5-player maps, completely save seconds, etc., etc. Rifkin, we'll throw that to you first.
Actually, I'm happy to answer this, but I want to go back for a sec. Someone just said this in chat. I don't know if this is true. Did they really not let Take TV just stream the games that the English stream wasn't covering? Because like I understand not wanting to involve for MSI. Sorry, I understand not wanting to involve another caster or like another group because you don't know how reliable the connection will be or all this other stuff. But like if you've got an official partner like Take TV involved, like why not let them do the matches that the main stream's not casting? That's crazy to me.
Yeah,
Does
that was
anyone
one
know
of the
if that
things
was
that I saw
true?
posted that Take TV wasn't allowed to cast the matches. They weren't letting them in the observers. But that was in a Reddit thread. I don't know if that was actually true or not.
Oh.
But
That, yeah. Okay.
But I
anyways,
mean-
yeah. That's because I mean, I know that I've worked with Take TV a lot, and they're of the same mindset where it's not about showing the best games, it's about showing all the games that you can, right? So like that's so crazy that it would have been organized like that. I wonder what the reasoning was. But I'm sorry. Like, what was the question?
Yeah.
Maps.
So basically, do you think that should future map pools be extremely diverse? Basically saying, one map with a really short map rush distance, 3-player maps, 5-player maps, completely save seconds.
No, because it fucks with vetoes too much, in my opinion. With tournaments, you already have a hard time with players choosing what to veto anyways, and that's why you get stuck with the same stale 3 maps over and over and over again. Like, if anyone remembers back in like the days of Overgrowth, it's just because all the other maps were the extreme diverse versions. Nobody wanted to do Inferno pools. It was too different from the rest. So everyone fucking vetoed
Coda
it.
now, same effect.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, like, it would be cool in concept, but I don't think it would be practical. Because you would still have that same veto problem.
there were times in the past that would happen. There would always be like 1 or 2 like off maps where it's like, oh, these are the cool maps, but then they would always get vetoed every single fucking time, and nobody would ever play them. And it's like, oh, okay, well.
I think though I do wish that they would stop theming the seasons though. So for example, like this season we did the Team Look at Map contest, so we got to look at the other maps that they were considering, and they all had back rocks or like 16 fucking destructible rock towers, or they just like the season prior where they were the really really big ramps at the naturals and things like that with like Daedalus Point a long time ago. I do kind of wish they'd give the map makers free reign and just say, hey guys, make what you think is a good map, and then the community could base and the players could base what they think is good or not. But every season they try and give the map makers either motivation or a theme to go off of, and I don't think they necessarily pick good ones a lot of the time. Like the whole back rocks thing, I'm not a fan of still. I mean, look at fucking Bridgehead. It's a stupid map.
All right, Jeff, any thoughts on that?
I agree with them.
Okay, Steven?
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Someone asked me about my gaming history. What were some of my favorite games as a kid growing up? It went from... I've never been like a variety gamer. I always found one that I liked, and I just played it over and over again. So as with Sega, or with regular Nintendo, it was Mario. With Sega, it was Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. And then with... What was after that, guys? Super or N64 I didn't really play a lot of, but I like
Donkey Kong 64.
Donkey Kong. I never played Donkey Kong 64, but I like Donkey Kong on the Super NES. That was one of my favorites. I didn't play the sequels to that.
I think it's better on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
The graphics are actually.
I really like Donkey Kong. A lot of hard maps on that one, actually. What else was there? Following that was PlayStation. PlayStation was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I think that's literally, unless someone else brought over a different game, that's the only game I liked playing on PlayStation, and then Xbox was Halo, Splinter Cell, and other Tom Clancy game, Ghost Recon. I like that. And then World of Warcraft was what I played until I found StarCraft. And once I found World of Warcraft, I literally did not touch another video game for.
I think a lot of people fall into that trap.
Yeah, 2005 to 2013, World of Warcraft. That was it. So that's really my history of gaming. It's nothing exciting. I never did anything cool with the other games. No, I was never.
Well, you played a
competitive.
lot of Zelda and Metal Gear Solid, right? Growing up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's see. What is it about your main? All right. We've kind of asked this question, but it's a little different. I'll throw this to Steven first. What is it about your main race that keeps you coming back? Is it time invested or something about the style of the race?
Wait, what was
So
it?
like you play Zerg. but
Caucasian.
why do you stay Zerg? Like, is it the style, or is it because you spent so much time you don't want to invest in learning the other one?
I think it's mainly the time investment. Like when you sunk that much time into something, to switch to something else is kind of painful. I think, or at least for me personally, like that's what I would say.
Cool. Jeff, what about you? You were
What's-
Zerg in.
What brings me back to Protoss?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was Zerg in Brood War. I picked Zerg because of the Ultras, like exclusively. I was 12 years old, and I saw the Ultras in a PC Gamer magazine, and was like, well, I need to play that game, and I need to make that thing. So I did, and I loved it. I was pretty famous for Ultras in Brood War. Like that's just what I did. And then StarCraft 2, I switched to Protoss because I always have to be something that I really, really like and think is aesthetically cool. Like even in Warhammer, I picked Tyranids because they're basically Zerg. And then I picked Adeptus Mechanicus because I love their fluff, I love the models. Like I never picked something because I'm like, that's what I'm going to do to win. So I could never be Terran, not hating on Terrans, but I just don't find that that like aesthetic very interesting to me. It's always got to be aliens and something cool like that. And then that's it. And then from there, I kind of made it work for myself. I also picked Protoss as opposed to Zerg going to StarCraft 2 because I did find them cool, but also I thought they'd be better for my slower mechanics for competition.
Okay. And what about you, Graham? You play Terran.
I actually play hella random, but I keep going back to Terran just because I like Terran, man. I don't have a better reason for that. It's not about the play style. I'm not particularly amazing with them. I've never been a competitor. I just really like playing Terran.
Yeah, I think for me, I love Terran. I kind of got really overhyped about it my first year in StarCraft. Like Terran is the end all be all of StarCraft. Fuck the other races. Never, stupid balance hate, but just like I don't know how I could ever love any other race. Then I started playing the other races, and in HOTS, I really like Protoss. In Legacy of the Void, I really like Zerg. But I think it's just because I'm so invested in Terran that's why I stick around with it. So it's kind of the same reason Steven stays with Zerg.
I keep secretly hoping that they'll make the Terratron an actual thing one day, and that'll be Terran's late game.
I would switch.
You're like, I got all these fucking racks and no minerals because the map's mined out. Time to combine all of them into one super unit. Fuck yes.
I would switch to Zerg just because of Zerg's late game in Legacy of the Void right now. It's just so powerful. Really like it. A couple that didn't make it into this thing. I'm just scrolling through the Reddit thread. One person asked.
Oh.
Go ahead.
It's kind of relevant to like what you just said.
Go ahead.
The fucking new carrier is so fucking fucking powerful.
Yeah.
When you were talking about people not building it, oh my fucking god. I ran my shit into some carriers to fuck that shit up. I killed like all the carriers and none of the interceptors were dying. I was like, this is some fucking bullshit. What the fuck? Yeah, that shit is crazy.
Dude, you can unload all the interceptors and rebuild all of them before the dumped ones expire with their lives.
Yeah, like
interceptors. It's crazy.
I had like 27 Vipers. I had like 42 Hydras, Queens. Like I was doing Viper. I could not kill the carriers. It just wasn't happening. It was pretty ridiculous. Yeah, those things are pretty good. It's pretty sad if you're saying that other people aren't willing to build them because they're pretty. It seems like a pretty good unit right now.
Yeah.
If you can afford to make the interceptors, they will kill most of what they're fighting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like in what's it called?
There's
Heart of the Swarm. It was make Vikings as a Terran, and then you could just focus down the carrier, and it was like, okay, then the interceptors died. Right now you can release them, and then it's like, oh well.
And they travel so far, you can't even fucking run away from those things.
Yep.
They'll follow you halfway across the map.
Yeah, that too. I kept screaming at my audience like, "What the fuck are these things like? I thought they were like locked to an area. What the fuck?"
It doesn't feel like it. It's actually kind of cool. What I like though, and this is totally balanced 100%, but versus both Zerg and Terran, it's really cool how Templar have refound this insanely strong position in the game underneath the carrier. Where like a Templar on its own is still kind of a Templar, not a big deal. But because Terrans don't have Ghosts to play that snipe game anymore, and you can't really use the Vipers to the same extent, like because of the fear of feedback, Templar are like the sickest thing to complement with carriers. It's scary watching a good player use those two things together.
Yeah, I kind of wish we'd get back to the old Ghost, like the usable snipe. That wasn't, at the end of the day, it was still more useful. You get to see it a lot more with the interaction with Templar. You prevent Archons from being made, things like that. I haven't really seen the new snipe used to any great success.
It's good when you can use it. The problem is like damage interrupts it, so it's like if something cleaves near you, if something splashes near you, like it cancels it. But I think it's just cool though, because like I really like where Protoss is, or at least where it's going. Like the Disruptor is really cool in PvP. I've got to experience, sadly, the other side of that a couple times. It's way better than the previous version of it. So like the Reaver version or whatever it's called is like a lot cooler, a lot more usable. And of course, like with carriers being something you can actually use, it's kind of insane and cool. Because like the way I look at it is like right now with Protoss, you've got this really cool late game where you can build your capital ships and they're actually viable. And with Zerg, you've got your Ultralisks and your Broodlords. Terrans, as much as I love Terran right now, it's still in this funny place where you're stuck with a mid tier. You can't really go battle cruisers.
Battle cruisers can teleport.
Yay! Now what?
It was like a funny meme, like when you saw it on the stream when the battle cruisers like teleport, like everybody cheered. I think when did you see it at first? Is that at BlizzCon when they demoed that?
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, it looked really cool.
It looks cool, but it's so fucking worthless. Like now, my worthless, shitty fucking unit can go anywhere on the map and be worthless and fucking shitty, like all over the map instead of just in one place.
They got worse versus Zerg because they do almost no damage to Ultralisks when you have full upgrades on them too. Like 3/3 battle cruisers.
I thought Yamato Cannon doesn't.
Yamato Cannon doesn't. It barely does like half the health of an Ultralisk, and then the actual auto attack does like nothing because the armor's like 8 or something, right?
Yeah.
Fully upgraded. It's funny. But the battle cruiser is just such a letdown because all the other races are really fucking cool right now, and Terran's just kind of like, we got Cyclones. They got
Valkyries are cool in TOT though.
They are. I actually, a lot of people have heard this story, and I sadly have no video proof, but I beat MMA going battle cruisers at BlizzCon.
He did.
Summit thing.
I saw
Sure,
it.
you did.
He did.
Of course, MMA thought Cyclones could still shoot up at the time, but whatever.
So real quick, just going through the unasked questions. One thing is someone brought up that I didn't know about this, but apparently one of the developers, the lead developer for Hearthstone, went on a Hearthstone talk show. First of all, he made like a video statement about some things that were being discussed in the community, and then he was able to go on one of the big Hearthstone talk shows just to have a casual back and forth with the guests and the hosts. And I have been told, I've already asked this, I've asked, basically if we had someone from StarCraft dev community come on, it would be a pre-defined question and answer session. There would be no grilling, there would be no discussion. Why that operates differently in StarCraft versus Hearthstone, I don't know. Maybe it's because they just think the StarCraft community is scary and volatile and they might lose their shit.
WoW actually did that too, which was really cool. I think it was the two major patches ago they had a stream and it had like fucking 30,000, 40,000 people on it, where it's just two guys in the Blizzard office talking about their thoughts on things, and they weren't like being super filtered or anything. I feel like StarCraft's taking those baby steps. You got Cyan, who was bridging Reddit community for a while. You got David Kim, who's now making the community posts more frequently. They're getting there, but it's gonna be a while, I think, before we have someone who can talk about StarCraft.
Yeah, Jeff, I mean, you've been around a long time. I trust your thoughts on this kind of topic. Can you think of why StarCraft doesn't go that route while the other communities are given that opportunity?
It's just personality driven. That guy in that department and between all of them felt comfortable doing it. I don't know that we have a whole lot to complain about. Like, it was season 2 finals where they did interview David Kim, which was not too long ago, and they do these updates about every other week or so. So it's like we have some interaction. I understand people have this huge interest in like, well, I'd really like him to answer some personal questions, fielded from the community and stuff like that. But to be honest, guys, like when you're working for such a giant company like Blizzard and you're working for a game that is Oh, it's a Blizzard game. Like I don't even need to overstep how big this is to them. You're not going to get a super off the cuff wild answer. Like they're always going to be very very safe, and it's not because they don't want to give you those answers. It's because it's financially not responsible. Like if they go a different route after publicly stating something just off the cuff, all of a sudden that makes the game and its development look really really bad. There's people complaining. It creates negative PR. Like it's just simply not worth it to them. So they do the controlled stuff because in that controlled environment they can give you feedback and it looks good, people receive it positively, and it's safe.
Well, I mean, the thing too is like, let's not forget, StarCraft 2 still has like the biggest amount of money dumped by Blizzard into it, like out of all their games. Like there's that complaint, like, why does StarCraft get more than HOTS and Hearthstone? They're not more popular, but like that is the thing. Like, there's so much more money on the line, you really can't fuck up and say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it for the questions. One of the, I think a guy from Red Bull Battlegrounds, he's an admin, and he asks, he'd love to hear feedback about how admins and organizers in general can help improve the player experience so that all you guys need to do is show up and perform. What are some of the things a lot of organizers or admins overlook? What can be improved, and what is done right? I know people give and receive feedback in different ways, but these kind of questions should be reviewed every so often.
You know who you should like, I don't think she's available right now, but you should find Ole Moly for a question like this and get her thoughts. She is a fucking amazing person with probably the most insight to that, because she player manages Axiom, she admin for Hell It's About Time, she was doing behind the scenes work at Red Bull. Like, that girl's a rock star, and this was like the perfect question for her if you can ever like catch her on a show.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely do that. But off the cuff, Jeff, you go to a lot of events. You've been a player. You've been all that. Any I guess feedback for something that comes up that kind of makes it difficult for you to either as a player or a caster get in there and just do your job. Any kind of holdups that you've noticed, just companies in general, not specifically Red Bull, and that you'd like other admins to consider, I guess.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So going to an event, things that the admins are responsible for. Is there anything that has been a problem in the past that would make your job easier going there as a player or caster that the admins could do?
No, I've had nothing but really positive experiences in all aspects with the people of events. Like, we, back in the day, had clashes with the MLG admins because we were sponsored and are sponsored by Monster, and we would be asked to have our water bottles next to us as just kind of, that's one of the things you do when you're sponsored by Monster, and MLG would have, God, who was their sponsor? Oh, NOS, I think it was. So their sponsor would be like, "Yo, get that Monster shit off there." But that's not the admins. That's just them passing the message along. I've had, I don't know. Huck would be a good person to ask for this because he's more of a he at least used to be more of a temperamental player. He'd have a more cheeky answer for you.
Okay. One thing I will say is that water in the media area is like a godsend. Like, you don't need to shower the media area with Red Bull and treats and all that stuff. But if you provide water, like, that's awesome because it lets you just sit there and continue doing what you need to do. And you don't have to keep running back and forth to get a drink and all that. And that actually, it helps a lot. And Red Bull has always been great about that. I think Red Bull spoiled me when it came to catering in the media area. Lunch and all that other shit provided. It was really awesome.
Nobody beats Blizzard, though. Holy fuck. BlizzCon media area was like, I don't know, heaven.
I didn't do the media area last year, so maybe this year we'll see what it's like. But I think there was one other thing I wanted to ask you, Jeff, but I can't remember what it is, so I think we're going to call the show quits. Steven has disappeared. I'm assuming his internet connection went out because it kept trying to reconnect him. So he didn't just hang up. So Steven
I think he just didn't want to be part of the shit show anymore, dude. I'm going to be honest with you.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Graham, thank you for coming on. Glad to have you. Give your shout-outs, what's going on with you in the future, and where can people find you?
Thanks for having me. Just, Base Trade TV. We actually haven't had a lot to do. I was actually sad. A lot of people thought we quit after the live event, but with MSI and Red Bull, there's been nothing for us to cast or do, so we're trying to get back on that train. You actually have, the Lycan League Mega Monthly Finals coming up next week that we're casting?
Yes, next week. So we postponed the finals because a lot of people weren't going to be able to be there. There was MSI going on, Red Bull going on. So we just...
and no power for Base Trade TV.
And no power for Base Trade TV. So we pushed the finals. It's going to be next week. And it's going to have a lot of good players. And I'm hoping the patch hits Thursday so we can kind of get, a little bit of...
Yeah, I've heard rumor is that the patch is coming Thursday, but there's no confirmation. So that'd be really cool if it did, so that we can see the new like Mule Chrono Boost whatever type effects.
Yep, definitely.
But yeah, other than that, just shout outs to I guess actually screw normal shout outs. Shout out to anybody who lives in fucking British Columbia. The fucking 500,000 people without power this past week. Like, if you guys are watching and you survived that alongside me, solidarity.
Je suis British Columbia, right?
Dude, I was in a McDonald's. I drove fucking 25 minutes to find a McDonald's with power that I could plug into, and like the power fucking goes out like 10 minutes after being there. It was horrible.
So the problem was you.
No, yes, like, and the problem was me.
Well, thank you, Graham, for coming on. You guys know where Base Trade TV is, at Base Trade TV, at Riff_Kings. Thank you for coming on, buddy. Jeff, what's going on with you? I understand maybe possibly unconfirmed European travel next week. What else?
Just thanks for having me on, obviously. You know, it's a shit show, but it's our shit show. And I do like talking StarCraft any opportunity I can. Thank you, Lycan, for putting it together and doing all the work. It doesn't get enough appreciation, so thank you. I will be streaming this week, just hanging out, just relaxing. Usual stuff. I'm going to stream after this, play some Legacy of the Void. And as always, just follow us on Twitter. That's one of the best ways to support us. Of course, if you're a Twitch person, which a lot of you, actually all of you, literally all of you right now are, at the very least, consider clicking that follow button on the streams. It's like it's one of the soapboxes I'm on for StarCraft 2 right now. I notice all of our fucking follows are so low compared to, like, I search, you know, like late at night, I'm like, all right, let's watch something on Twitch, and it's like, who is Bunny Sex Fluffy 1456 playing CS:GO, and they have like 200,000 follows, and I'm like, oh man.
Dude,
So,
Gold Glove's coming up on like 1 million or some shit. I was like, what the fuck?
well, he deserves it. Yeah, there's a few. There's like
Who?
Gold Glove, Lyric, and a couple others. They have actually 1 million followers.
Dude,
on.
I was
shit.
saying, I think.
Yeah,
I
if
think
you want
they're-
those followers, you got to do the fucking giveaways.
You gotta do all kinds of stuff. But thank you all. Thank you for tuning in. My Warlord Titan is being painted. I'm having banners made for it. I found a new way to spend more money on it. It's literally going to have banners off of its torso and its guns. When it's done, it's going to be so great. So in about a month.
I
I'll
can't
be
wait to see
proud
this
of it.
thing, dude. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to be hilarious. I'll drop it on stream. I'll be like, here it is. My pride, and it goes out the window, and I'm like, "Ah!" I would just jump out the window with it. That's what I'd probably do. Yeah, so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on, Jeff. Destiny, glad to have you back on for the end. What's going on in your world? You just going back to streaming?
I can see that.
Yeah, for this week,
Oh,
I'll
there.
probably be hammering the Metal Gear Solid 5 game. Pretty hard.
Cool.
My webcam actually, sorry,
No, it's all right. No
this
webcam.
proxy was highly recommended to me, and apparently it has like had a stable uptime of like 7 fucking years. And now, like, as soon as I got into it, they've had so much fucking server maintenance and shit. I'm pretty rustled. Anyway, yeah, I'm just streaming Metal Gear Solid 2 probably,
Awesome.
5.
You can follow Destiny.
or 4 or
at
5.
Steven
Fuck Metal Gear
_Bonham.
Solid 5. Fuck me.
Well, what's to stop him from
Wake up. Yeah.
streaming Metal Gear Solid 2, man? Like, he could do that.
Everyone's
if he wants.
expecting the 5. He goes in for the 2.
God,
That's
that
the
would-
ultimate Metal Gear troll, though, right? Like,
There you go.
Snake.
Yeah, if you guys like the show, follow the channel, please. We are going to, we stream it every Wednesday, same time, same place, 4 Eastern time, 10 CEST. And, one